You're listening to
They're going to call it a hard foul. They're going to call it a hard foul.
offering in-depth analysis on all things Boston Celtics with your hosts, Jim and Mike Quigley.
All right, good morning. Welcome to They're Going to Call It a Hard Foul, last preseason edition. Tomorrow night is banner night. The Celtics will receive their rings. Banner 18 will go to the rafters, and then we'll finally tip off the regular season as the Celtics host the New York Knicks, the revamped New York Knicks, to kick off the 2024-25 season. And with all the craziness in the world and presidential candidates talking about dead golfers' genitalia, it's a good time to focus on NBA basketball. Mike, good morning. How you doing?
That was Arnold Palmer's genitalia. Was it better than Aaron Baines or so? Because according to Tommy Heinsohn, Aaron Baines had a really, big one.
All of Australia, as Tommy Heinsohn said.
So I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, no, it's a really too bad. The great Tommy Heinsohn, who, we obviously named this pod after in a certain way, isn't here to tell us anymore his thoughts. And, he may have, with all his fame, ran into Arnold Palmer before. So maybe he could have answered that for us. But, here we are.
Strange well, what we should do is we should find out if Aaron Baines is a Donald Trump supporter. And if that's the case, we should get them on the show and we can do an examination.
I think I'll pass. You can do that one solo. Yeah.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I know Trump's probably a busy guy, but any media exposure is good exposure, I guess. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the start of the season tomorrow. Big day, banner day. How about you, Jim? You excited to get this thing kicked off?
I sure am. Yeah, no, it's time, right? It is absolutely time to finally get the season going. Mike, what are your thoughts on your expectations for tomorrow night? Just with the Celtics and the Knicks, banner night, all those things. I know you're excited, but what are your expectations of both the celebration and also, just this matchup in general?
I mean, the celebration will be good, I guess. They'll get their rings. They'll put the banner up there. That'll be great. As far as the game, I think the game's going to be a good game. And the Knicks and Celtics typically get together. It's a close game. All the games last year, except for I think one of them, where we're pretty close, deep into the fourth quarter. A lot of talents out there, so I expect it to be close and for the Celtics to pull away in the fourth quarter like they typically do against the Knicks. Just with they're a better three-point shooting team, so if the Celtics are shooting a lot of threes and hitting them, it's going to be hard for the Knicks to stay close.
Yeah, no, I expect the Celtics won 4 or 5 last year. It was one of those weird bubble things where they played them 5 times.
Right.
The Knicks, won the last game when the Celtics were pretty much, they were cemented where they were in the playoffs. They had home court advantage throughout. I think it was the Knicks were still fighting. And the difference, obviously, now at any point the Celtics Knicks matched up last year is that they have a couple wing defenders that they just did not have before. I mean, they used to throw guys like Josh Hart and DiVincenzo out on Tatum and Brown, and that just does not work, right? That just does not work. So they, with OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, they're obviously much, much better there. I think you're right on the three-point shooting. I think the Celtics are a much better three-point shooting team. What's going to be interesting to watch early in the season for the Knicks is Mikal Bridges looks like he has a hitch in his shot.
I
really struggled down the stretch of the preseason. So hopefully for him that's not the case, but I'll be watching that tonight because that changes the way you defend him completely if he's not really a threat from out there anymore. And then I'm going to just watch how the Celtics attack the Knicks in their matchups. I think we kind of know what the Knicks are going to want to do. They're going to want to put Brunson in action and get the Celtics bigs against him and drop coverage and have him take advantage of it. I'm going to watch how the Celtics going to go right at Brunson.
And Carl Anthony Towns.
Test him out, and Carl Anthony Towns as well. They're going to put them in matchups, especially late in the game against Tatum and Brown, and see how they react to it, because in the past neither one have really done a great job on dealing with that. And Brunson, for as strong as he is, he's still barely 6 feet, and those two guys should be able to get him to any spot on the floor and get a clean look. And then how do the Knicks react to that? Are they going to send help? And when they send help, where's it going to come from, and what does that open up for the Celtics? I don't really expect much of double teams for the Celtics at all. They don't really trap, so especially early in the season, I think even if Brunson is getting the best of them, I don't think they're going to see them get out of what they do and start trapping them. My only concern just with tonight, you're going to have this real emotional beginning. You're going to get your rings. The banner's going to go up. It's going to be a pretty long ceremony. I think Wick's going to probably even amp it up even more than usual, considering that he's on his way out. So when the ball actually tips off and you get going, does kind of like a mental exhaustion kind of jump in at some point, or an emotional exhaustion? And then do the Knicks take advantage of it? So we'll see how it goes. It's not a game that I think anyone should wake up tomorrow and try to read a ton into, even though everyone will. But
if the Knicks win,
glad to get things going. Huh?
If the Knicks win, ESPN is going to be falling over themselves to anoint them the next champion.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt there. One thing I'd be looking into tonight, too, is just how Al Horford looks. He didn't play much in the preseason. He didn't look great against Toronto that last game. So he might be a little shaky, a little, still finding his legs. So hopefully we'll see some Cornette and other guys getting some minutes tonight to help with that. But
yeah, I think you'll see all three. You'll see Cornette, Horford, and Tillman all get run tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And, what do you expect to see the rotation to be, Mike, early in the season? Typically, Joe plays like 9. Do you think he'll go a little longer tonight with, everything that's going on, and play maybe 10, 11 guys?
No, I think Joe likes to go after the wins. I expect about 9 guys to play. That's typically what we see. If a guy gets in foul trouble, maybe things switch up a bit, which certainly against the Knicks, you can find yourself in foul trouble with matchups against Brunson. But, typically you'll see 3 guards with Pritchard coming off the bench. You'll see Al, Cornette, and Timlin get some run.
Coming.
And, whoever that 9th guy might be. If there is a 9th guy, well, it's Hauser, right? So,
yeah,
that's your lineup. Maybe Jordan Walsh gets some run, but I don't think much. But I think it's Joe typically goes to the 9 guys, or even 8.
Yeah, I think you'll see 9 play probably, and they'll mix and match from there. I think you're probably right with that, and all 9 can play. And if they got to go to a 10th, it would be interesting to see how Jordan Walsh reacts. He certainly earned that kind of 10th role. And as we kind of talk about the Celtics rotation, we're going to have to.
It could be Keita too. I mean, he's played well.
Yeah, I think going 4 deep with bigs, it gets hard to figure out those minutes at that point in an actual real NBA game. We should transition. The Celtics. We did a poor job in the last pod, Mike, when we talked about Lonnie Walker. We didn't talk about what the cap hit would mean, and that's my fault. It's something I should have been on top of, but his roster spot, has been reported. It's not with the tax. It would have cost the Celtics around $11 million in additional cost to their roster. And ultimately, that's where the decision was made, and why he isn't on the team right now. I guess it's not surprising when you start talking about that type of money. What did interest me is if Wick was going to say screw it and do it anyways, because it's not really his money like he has been doing. That's what I was kind of waiting to see if that would happen. But obviously it didn't. I don't know. I guess when we had the pod, if you asked us in the last pod, we would have said it was a surprise. But once we kind of sober up here and realize what the cost would have been, I don't think either one of us are really surprised that he's not a Celtic right now.
No, I think it's for the nerds to be on top of the cap hit and all these rules in the NBA that I really don't care to understand. No, he was great in the preseason. I don't know if the Knicks would see a cap hit like that, but they have a kind of thin bench.
He could be used.
Maybe Lonnie Walker makes
Yeah.
sense for them. I think he's down in or up in Portland right now. He plans on playing in the G League. So I can't believe he's not on the roster. That is, I can't believe how this is working out. This new CBA, it really is top heavy. Only the stars get paid, and you see things like this happen. And I think, already looking into next offseason, just following Keith Smith, I think there isn't going to be a ton of movement with free agency, and guys are going to have to take less money. So I don't know if the players actually lost out, because unless you're in that top tier of players, you could see yourself not making as much as you originally thought with the way things are now.
Guys aren't going to make as much as their original rookie contract. That's a wild thing about this whole new CBA, and I just think it was short-sighted on the players' part. It certainly awarded the top earners, and maybe they need to reconstitute their leadership at the union without guys that are kind of thinking about just the top earners. Because the fact that Lonnie Walker can't get onto, and I think he eventually will, but he's going to settle for a minimum deal, and he's going to be back in the marketplace again next offseason under the same conditions. So it's like and this is a guy that can score. Look, there are flaws in his game. He's not a great defender anymore, and he, but he can score. He can come off the bench and give you 10 quick points when you need it. And that's a valuable thing for contenders. And he's certainly better than a G League level player. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's better than a lot of the guys that made the Celtics team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of the guys.
I look at, probably he's right there with Jordan Walsh and the rest of the roster as far as NBA talent goes.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think there's an argument to be made for that. And it would have been a great luxury to keep him, but and maybe later on in the season if they want to fill that last roster spot with him. And the other thing it does, it just gives the Celtics some flexibility going forward. If there is an injury, something isn't working out, you still have that last roster spot to kind of correct whatever's going wrong. Whereas if you fill that with Lonnie Walker, then you have an unexpected thing happen. You don't have that flexibility with that roster spot anymore. So there is value in keeping it open, just from a pure basketball standpoint. That said, I no matter what you do later in the season, no matter what you need is, you're probably not going to get a better player than Lonnie Walker to fill that spot.
I'd be interested to know, are there other NBA veterans who are unsigned in similar situations too?
Yeah, no, there's a pretty extensive list. Even TJ Warren had a really good preseason with the Knicks, and there was talks there that he might make the squad, and he's down at their G League team as well. And there's a pretty extensive list of free agents right out there right now, guys like Jake Crowder and whatnot that are making a team, and they are where they are.
Also, Milwaukee didn't hold on to Crowder?
No.
Ooh, wow. Who do they have as wing defenders? Do they have anybody?
They really don't. No, they're
They
in the
really
same
don't.
spot. Pat Connaughton.
Okay.
So, Mike, you Your early thoughts on this
On the
NBA?
season,
Yeah,
yeah,
on the early part of the season.
the Celtics under Missoula always come out ready to go. Um, I expect them to start fast. I would be surprised if they don't. I don't think the schedule is. You really don't know, but on its face, the schedule doesn't look really tough to start the year. But of course, there may be some surprise teams in there. Everybody's healthy right now, so you'll get everybody's best effort during this start of the season. So you could see a lot of close games, even against teams that are lesser talent. But um, through these first 10 games, I'm looking at 7-3, right? 8-2. That's what I expect.
Yeah,
Other stranger things have happened. They might get off to a slow start, but I expect them to start fast. They typically start fast, and kind of saw it in the preseason. They typically come out in the first month of the season breaking all sorts of records as far as 3-point shooting percentage and all these offensive categories, and we get all horny thinking it's going to happen for 82 games. So that's kind of what I expect.
yeah, no, I fully expect you're right about the schedule being a little bit soft. I mean, this after tonight they got the Wizards, Pistons back to back. I think the Pistons actually have NBA players this year, so it'll be a little bit tougher. But
Tim
um,
Hardaway Jr.
yeah, outside of that, of the top
at
the
Detroit.
first 10 games, the Bucks, they play twice. They got the Pacers in there. But this has been all last season. They were 800 winning percentage. You're right. They always start well early. I fully expect them to be motivated, and look like a team that's ready to win it again early in the season. The one game I'm a little bit unsure about would be tomorrow night, just because of the pomp and circumstance that is surrounding the pregame stuff. Uh, the real question, kind of, when you talk about a team repeating and and defending the championship, it's usually you start looking at them around game 40, 50 and how they approaching things. Early in the season, I think it's usually pretty good. Um, you're less worried about injuries and complacency. It's when the season comes, you know, to that grind time where we've been in it for a long time. It's the winter. Do you still have that same motivation to keep going after it? So that will be the thing to watch. But that's not January, February, and I think the way Missoula is approaching things, they should be fine. And that manner too, and the stars, who just love to play, I think will kind of lead the way there. And they have other
Yeah, and
veterans that have been around, so they should be fine.
they also will have some play-in tournament games coming up.
Yeah.
Those start pretty early on in the season, and their bracket's pretty easy this year, similar to last year. So I expect them to have a shot at winning this play-in tournament again this year. And there's some teams in there where they might get like that Philadelphia treatment, where they may have like a fifth game against the Wizards or something this year that will certainly help their schedule going forward as well. So I definitely think the play-in tournament helps with early season basketball.
Yeah, I think so too. And it was fun last year, and it's something for them to win, that they didn't get. They kind of failed at last year. And as we, talk about, kind of having a easier pool to play for the playing tournament, the other thing that this team is going to be accustomed to is, because they've been so good, if you've heard commentators, now they're going to get everyone's best. I kind of feel like they've been getting that anyways. Maybe it'll be ramped up a little bit with the crowds and things like that, but usually people come to play when they play the Celtics, even during the regular season. So I think this team is it's in a different spot than other teams that have won over the last decade, with a chance to kind of come out, perform well early, and give yourself a real shot at repeating. Mike, with that, do you have any closing thoughts?
I'm just ready for basketball to start. Excited for the game tomorrow, Jim. And what's this now? Is this our fourth season on the pod or our fifth? What are we into now?
This I believe would be fourth, or maybe it's our fifth. We'll
All
have to
right.
see.
So
Okay, I took a look at Baines in the shower. He looks like all of Australia.
All right, with that, we'll close. We'll talk to everyone soon.
all right.